If a hard dose of reality might be triggering to you, you probably don't want to watch this video. Just the title alone, I think, is going to annoy some people. Normalizing drug addiction leads to even more overdoses. That should just be reasonable, right? You should be able to just say that and, well, yeah, I mean, duh, right? I mean, but a lot of folks are like, no, we need to make people comfortable with their drug addiction and let them know that they're empowered by using drugs safely. Did a podcast on that last week. New York City have billboards in their public transport, congratulating people on their excellent drug abuse because they're using drugs safely. Literally. They've got billboards on this. I mean, it's just mind-blowingly shocking. Fentanyl test strips can help save your life. Basically saying, hey, it's okay to do fentanyl, but you know what? You want to get a test strip on that because, man, if it has too much, you're going to die. This is what we're doing today. We're talking about drug addiction. We're talking about minimizing the impacts or just completely overlooking the impacts of drug addiction. How about those 107,000 people last year that didn't make it? Yeah, that died of overdoses. How about that? How about you watch 10 minutes of any given YouTube video on Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia, and you tell me how drug addiction is going. Those people are literally the walking dead, right? I mean, if those folks don't get into rehab soon, they're going to die, and they're going to die on the sidewalk. And every now and then you'll see, a bunch of people standing around and, yep, there's another one of our buddies, drugged out, OD'd out, whatever, might be dead. You don't know. But that is a harsh reality, especially with the fentanyl we've got going on now. So this is a really good article by 𝐏𝐞𝐸. He knows his stuff. He breaks it down. This is a quick article on just, hey, normalizing drugs ain't gonna cut it, folks. And yet that's what we're doing. That's what we're going to talk about. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies. Why wouldn't I talk about normalizing drug addiction leads to even more overdoses? That's what we're doing. All right. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part. Thanks for supporting, if you so see fit, the City Health Department subway ad campaign, reassuring hard drug users that they can be empowered by using safely, and that's in quotes, is not an isolated approach to the epidemic of overdose deaths. It's part of a larger harm reduction movement based on the idea that the combination of decriminalizing or outright legalization will reduce the tragic number of overdose deaths, 100,000 plus last year. The ads are of a piece with the safe injection sites inaugurated by the Blasio administration in New York. So you got a lot of people addicted, wildly addictive drugs out there now. 100,000 people die last year. And what are we doing? We're decriminalizing it, making it okay. We've got safe injection sites. Some entities are actually handing out drugs because they think, we'll get them a little bit of drugs, then they won't kill themselves. And it's clean, it's safe drugs. It's like, going to an AA meeting and handing out big bottles of booze and saying, all right, only take one shot, just one shot. That's a minimal dose. It's not going to kill you. But it continues the trajectory, right? It continues the pattern of addiction. So you got that. But as evidence starts to come in from real world, this Pollyannaish view deserves to be questioned. I'm reading this article because they use the word Pollyannaish. I think that's great. It doesn't match with reality. Well, yeah, a lot of people are dying. Whew, that's not good. Okay. But we don't like that war on drugs that, takes away people's freedom to make their own decisions, even though when they're a drug addict, they need somebody to make a decision for them because they physically, emotionally, mentally can't. So you know what we're going to do? We're just going to say, hey, it's okay. Good luck with that. I hope you make it through. And that's what we're doing. People who don't know it, People who need to be in detox, yeah, you're going to have to force them because their body's addiction to this crap that's on the streets now is so strong that there's no way, you know what? I think I'm just going to kick today. And yeah, I'm probably just going to go into detox today because the next 30 days of my life are going to be epically fun. No, horrific. Anybody who's gone through detox for some hardcore drugs will tell you point blank, it is awful. Johnny Depp said it was awful coming off opioids, right? I mean, there's a guy that would know. Consider what's happened in Oregon, where 2020 voters approved a ballot measure to decriminalize hard drugs and at the same time established addiction treatment centers. Unconsidered was the possibility that making heroin and fentanyl legal, subject to a $100 fine that could be waived if one just calls a help hotline, might actually encourage more use. Oh, we didn't think that through. We just thought if we made it legal, yeah, less people would use it. I mean, you know, it's kind of like condoms. If you just hand them out, everybody's going to, yeah, this logic makes no sense at all, does it? No, it doesn't. Because drugs are one thing that you can't just normalize and have it be okay for everybody. They kill people. And the evidence basically says, yeah, they're killing 100,000+ Americans a year. Interesting. Instead of harm reduction, overdose deaths are climbing. At a hearing on the law, a state legislator from rural Eagles Pass reported a 700% hike in drug use and a 120% rise in overdose deaths. Oregon's Secretary of State told the hearing that in many communities in Oregon, we've seen the problem with drug addiction get worse since legalizing it. God, that can't be. Who came up with this plan? Whose plan the harm reduction is going to work? We just want to respect our fellow human beings. Here's a clean needle. Yeah, not the way to do it, folks. The harm reduction movement needs to accept common sense. Acquiescence signals approval. It does. Here's a clean needle. Yeah, and if you can't figure out how to shoot in your veins because they're all, you know, you're too drugged up and you can't hit a vein anymore, here's a kit for your butt. You put it up your butt. And, you know, that's safer. You need to be proud of that fact that you've moved on and you're exploring different ways to get high. Seattle did that. Taxpayers' money. Wild, right? Advocates of decriminalization believe, as usual, that the problem is money. Spend more and we'll see improvement. But what's happening so far should put this whole movement on notice. You're experimenting with human lives and the lives of families ruined by drug users. Go to any NA meeting and you tell me how harm reduction is a good idea. Yeah, sit through a few NA meetings. Yeah, you're not going to hear any stories of, well, you know, my brother got off the heroin after it was made legal and, you know, they decriminalized everything. And so then he kind of just looked around and went, you know what? It's just not as much fun shooting up heroin since it's legal. So I think I'll just give it up. I don't need this. It's been a good run, but I don't really need this in my life anymore. Said no addict ever. Yeah. And yet this is what legislators are doing. It's what city councils are doing. Like, it's okay. Let's just, addicts are people too. Let's just let them do their thing and make their own decisions. I mean, what could possibly go wrong when you're hooked to drugs and you're, given a life-threatening decision to make? Whether it's the safe injection sites in Harlem and Brooklyn or the decriminalization of cocaine and opioid possession in British Columbia, advocates of the harm reduction approach must be willing to accept evidence. Whenever I hear hard evidence, I always just think of Ben Shapiro's book. Facts don't care about your feelings, because it kind of just stops point blank, right? Oh, they don't? Oh, yeah. Hard evidence doesn't care about your feelings either, right? Accepting hard drug use signals that public health authorities believe they have no tools to reverse a public health crisis. So basically what we're saying here is if you decriminalize stuff, you're basically saying you can't figure out a way to help people out of it. And we know they can. It's just hard work. And it's not a popular concept. Hey, get off those drugs. Get off the sidewalk. Stop stealing shit and become a contributing member of society. But we don't want to do that. That's hard. And, that might be deemed as hateful towards our fellow human being, living in a tent, stealing from the community, doing all kinds of crazy stuff to keep that habit going. Nah, we want to bring them food and, clean up around their tent and just make things better in general. Hand them out free needles and here's your food. And yeah, that's literally what we're doing. We're doing that in Seattle. They're giving up on thousands of citizens or embracing the misbegotten idea that one can be a productive drug addict. There is no such thing as a productive drug addict. There's just not. I mean, you're not productive. And if you're trying to think that you are, it's a misnomer, right? It's not. You're throwing your potential down the drain and eventually it's going to catch up with you, especially with the drugs they have now. Yeah, just taking people out left and right, 100,000 people. That's a lot of folks. Here's another idea for the city health department, a subway campaign urging riders not to use drugs in the first place. That's logical. That's based on facts. We can't have any of that. No such thing. Yeah, that's a heavy-handed approach. Just say no warnings may not be the right approach. But in a city filled with the most creative advertising firms in the world, we should not rule out a campaign that could change habits and lives. It is ironic indeed that we see no such public health campaign, even as the state continues to run graphic portrayals of end-stage lung cancer and regrets from its victims that they ever took up smoking. You see those ads? We've seen a lot of those lately, right? Somebody's got like half a jaw or talking through one of those boxes. I smoked my first cigarette at 13. You know what I mean? You're just trying to scare the piss out of you so you don't take up smoking. Didn't work for my brother. My brother, we went to a restaurant when we were little. He was maybe, 8 or 10 or something. And he found a pack of smokes in a cigarette machine they had in the restaurant. They didn't drop down. So he grabbed those. My dad found out he had them and said, well, you got to smoke a whole cigarette. Yep. That was like 40 years ago. Still going. So there's that, right? Some people are just going to take up something and run with it. A similar anti-drug campaign could include grief-stricken parents who have lost children to overdoses and saw their potential snuffed out. Where are those campaigns? Why aren't we seeing those willy-nilly? And instead, we're decriminalizing this crap. It's okay. Just, use it safely. How does this empower people? How does this do anything positive for them? How do you sit down at a governmental entity type meeting like a city council and go, yeah, how can we make it easier for our addicts to get through their lives being addicted to drugs? I don't know. But yeah, these campaigns, that would be amazing, right? That's what we need to see. And yet we're going the opposite direction. And we're just letting those who have these horrible drug addictions do their own thing. Oh, you're addicted to drugs? Well, that's because you don't have any money because you're addicted to drugs. And that's why you stole all that stuff because you're addicted to drugs. And it's all kind of part and parcel. But since you're a person without much means, we're going to support you. And yep, here's that kit to bump in your butt if you need to. Government sends signals about what is acceptable. From drug decriminalization laws to the Use Safely campaign, government is sending the wrong signal. Couldn't agree more. 100% on board. Let's start those ad campaigns. Most people don't even really know about fentanyl, right? It's come up really, really recently. I heard about it in 2018. Like, fentanyl, what's that? It's like, it's killing people. Don't take fentanyl. Well, you don't know you're taking it till it's too late. And then you're dead or you've done an overdose and you need to go to rehab or you need to go to detox or you need to figure out something. Continuing to do the same is not a pattern that's going to end up well. So yeah, the government's sending one signal and they could be sending another, but it almost feels like they're okay with it. They're like, 100,000 people, that's not bad. But it's happening. How much resources are we spending on these 100,000 people? Because those 100,000 people that die, how many millions are addicted to drugs and they're doing just all this crazy stuff? And we're literally sending the message, it's okay. Here's how you can help yourself. And don't be ashamed of being addicted to drugs. It's normal. It's okay. And you know what? Be proud of yourself for doing it safely. All right. And are they also going to come to your funeral when you're dead? Probably not. Because they're too busy trying to help people with their addictions by giving them more. Crazy stuff, right? I mean, it's just not logical. It's not reasonable. All right. That's all I got on this one. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting. We'll catch up soon. Bye for now.